Hello, my name is Jared Matthews, and I'm doing this video presentation about the book I read, Black, White, and Jewish by Rebecca Walker. I'm not really good at video presentations, but I'm going to read what I wrote. This book, Black, White, and Jewish, definitely reflects the racial struggles. However, to me, I see the human struggle and the conflict, man versus self, man versus man, and man versus society. She always had the struggle with her parents not being there for her throughout the book. It didn't change even when her parents got divorced. She would go visit them, and they would still not connect with her on a parental level, and just kind of let her do her own thing and discover her own self. When she was visiting her father's side of the family, she never really fit in. Her cousins and even later on, her white brother and sister had questions on who she was or how she fit in. There were points, even when she was in the hospital being born, the nurse looked at the birth certificate and asked if that was right, because her father was Caucasian and her mother was marked as Negro. And this was in 1969, so interracial relationships were not even thought of. I ran across a Facebook meme, and it was talking about how a black man was hung just for whistling at a white woman. So imagine, even back in the 60s, early 70s, that still was very taboo for a black male or a woman to be with a white male or a woman at that time. Even today, 2018, the mother of my two daughters is white, and I'm not with her no more, but when they see my children, they are very, very fair skinned. They get mistaken for Puerto Rican a lot of times, and they look at me. I'm a little darker, so they think we're Spanish, but they can see the black features, the nose, the eyes, and they just look, and you can tell why they're looking. Even when she was with her mom, she felt more accepted with her skin color. When she traveled, she visited Spanish countries and was around Spanish people and black people, and felt comfortable that she was accepted. Her skin color was accepted, and she didn't necessarily have to explain her position or explain her place color-wise and how she fit in. They just accepted her, and she fit in. Her mother Alice thought of Rebecca more as a friend than a daughter, and that's more than anything that I personally got out of this book. That it was more of her parents that didn't pay attention to her like she wanted, or any child needs their parents' guidance and support, and she didn't have that. So I think that was an issue, and the only thing I can really say kind of not negative about this book, but it was, even though it was an autobiography, it was kind of one-sided on Rebecca Walker's view of her life, and it didn't really explain why her parents left her alone. One could assume, I assumed that they didn't want to impress their racial background on her, and they try to let her figure it out. But even still, that is not what parents should do. That shouldn't be a defining factor when raising your child. Um, Overall, the book was very well written. Her stories were kind of sporadic, so when she was talking about a specific subject, she would jump back and forth from the memories that she had of her past, and although the stories correlated with the subject she was on at the time, they jumped pretty sporadically. One time she was at her friend's house, and another time was when she grew up. So the stories, and this was like paragraph by paragraph. Each story was different, and it's space and time where when they happen. But other than that, it was a very good book. I seen some of myself in this book. My father and my parents, like I put in my report, that they were part of the Black Panther movement, and they were kind of radicals, I guess you would say, about the movement. My father was in the military for a while. He was in Vietnam, and after that, after when he got out, that's when they joined together, my mother and my father. And eventually, I don't know how it led up to there, but he became a personal bodyguard for Martin Luther King Jr. They were very involved in civil rights movements, so I could understand that. I heard the stories. Obviously, I wasn't born back then, but I went growing up and hear the stories, and my father being a real stickler on education, and anytime I would slack, he would remind me of how many people died for me to get education today. And although I didn't want to hear it at the time, it is very true, and that's why I'm in school now. I went to college before, and I wasn't ready. I was very still immature. I went right after high school, and I didn't set myself up for success. This time I am, and I'm taking it a little more seriously. But it is more challenging because of I have a family and a wife, and children, and a wife expecting, and work long hours, and fitting this in is very difficult. But I really did enjoy reading Rebecca Walker's Black, White, and Jewish, and seeing her perspective and how she grew up as a biracial child, and what that means in America, and all the social constructs and that were built and made and applied in society, that society accepted, that a certain group of minorities are lower or inferior to a specific race is a lot of crap. Excuse my language, but it is. But this is where America was built off of, and I believe that just as Rebecca's father believed, he was a lawyer working for the NCAA, that through changing of the laws to where they are equal in justice for every man, no matter what color, religion, creed, nationality, ethnicity, whatever, the law should apply to everyone equally. And through education of other cultures and experiencing other cultures in your everyday life will we have more acceptance and more tolerance for each other. Hey, thank you, and I enjoyed the mod. Thank you very much, guys. See you later.